This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking and pension needs, call or visit a Fidelity branch today. Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. And Cayman Pharmacy Group, with locations in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. And Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling Seaboard Marine at 949-4977.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record.
Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orett Connor.
Good morning, and welcome to For the Record. Today is Wednesday, the 20th day of June, 2018. I trust that everyone had an enjoyable evening and that you're all raring to go this morning. Those of you who are on the roads, we again caution you to be extremely careful on the roads. Be courteous, drive carefully. Also want to remind you, I actually had someone speak to me about this. Those persons who work on the roads, either cleaning the roads or constructing new roads, you normally will see those cones, colored cones on the road. Sometimes you will see signs saying men at work or whatever. They're asking you to please exercise extreme caution. Slow down when you're crossing those areas. There are some jurisdictions that take those offenses extremely seriously, and you are issued with moving violations if you are speeding, if you're going excessively fast in those areas where people are working. So when you see workmen on the roads, please slow down. Sometimes there may be signs, there may be workers there with signs telling you to slow or directing traffic. But even if you don't see it, once there's an indication that there are people working on the road, please reduce your speed and drive carefully, because those workers, those cones are basically just artificial barriers. They won't stop a vehicle, so they're there to warn you of that. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Orett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There's always someone there waiting to take your calls. Normally, that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at For the Record. That is one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. Additionally, we have a WhatsApp number. That WhatsApp number is 925-3261. We encourage you to send us a text message or leave us a voice note. If you leave a voice note, then the contents of that voice note will be played during the course of the show as well. Of course, today being Friday, it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me again MLA, Mr. Kenneth Bryan. Wednesday, yes. Sorry, what did I say, Friday?
Yes.
I'm working on getting you in there with the opposition. Yes, it's Wednesday, and it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me MLA, Mr. Kenneth Bryan, who has a busy week. As you heard, the Speaker, Honorable Speaker, Honorable W. McKeever Bush mentioned when he was on here that Mr. Kenneth Bryan is a part of the planning committee for the CPA conference that is being held in the Cayman Islands. So I'm going to have Mr. Bryan introduce himself, and he has also brought a guest with him this morning, and I'm going to ask Mr. Bryan to introduce the guest as well.
Thank you so much, OC, for having me as usual. Every other Thursday is always a pleasure
Wednesday.
to be. Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
so we both had it.
Thursday soon come.
Yes. But again, thank you for allowing me to be here and share this airtime with your audience. I want to say a special good morning to everyone in the Cayman Islands, particularly those in Georgetown Central and those in Cayman Brac. Hope you guys are woken to a good morning. This morning I have a special guest with me from Bermuda. He is an MP, Mr. Thomas Famous. And the reason he's here on island is for the CPA, Commonwealth Parliamentary Association conference that we're having on island. And we are almost halfway through. Today's Wednesday. We've been at it from the weekend and Monday and Tuesday. A number of topics we've discussed that has to do with the growth of small developing states. As you heard the Honourable Speaker, Mr. McKeever Bush, has said on his previous appearances here on the show. But I thought it would be an opportunity to not only from our local representatives, but also from other representatives from the region as to their experiences so far here in the islands, in Cayman, and also to talk about some topical things, because as we are partners in respect to the regional things, we're also partners in some of the things that we're experiencing right now regionally in respect to the UK, in respect to our development and growth in our country. So I want to give the people of the Cayman Islands a different perspective other than just local, so you can hear the challenges and the ways of which they are dealing with those things. So I want to take this opportunity to introduce to the Cayman Islands Mr. Famous, Thomas Famous, who is an MP from Bermuda.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. O'Connor. Good morning, MLA Bryan. And most important, good morning, Cayman, Little Cayman, and Cayman Brac.
Good morning, sir, and welcome to For the Record.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so OC, so far as you know that the speaker had mentioned some of the things that we spoke about in respect to the discussions, and just so people are aware, yes, on Monday we spoke one of the topics. The first preliminary session was the relevant security systems for government entities, and including parliaments of small developing states. Also on Monday, we spoke about the relevant education system to build an economy of small developing state. That was a rather interesting one, because education is always one that stirs the pot on how do you do that, particularly when sometimes your developing state is not sure what direction it's going, because it's ever changing, particularly with globalization and technology. Also, yesterday, our session number 3 was relevant population growth in the multinational jurisdictions of small developing state. That was also a very interesting one, and we at that one we had the Honourable Premier present, as well as our Honourable member from Bontown East. Bontown East, Cristiano is Bontown East?
Bontown West.
Bontown West. Oh man, he's gonna give me a good slashing for that. Honourable Christopher Saunders was the moderator, and that was enlightening. Also, yesterday we had our session number 4. How should CARICOM respond to the focus on deglobalization? How will it affect the CAA region? But I don't want to be the primary speaker this morning. I think most of our listeners would have a basic view on what we as representatives here in the Cayman Islands see on much of these topics, because they hear from us all the time. I want to take this opportunity to somewhat do a little bit of a hosting if you will.
Sure.
In respect to,
I need a break.
Yeah, in respect to how it's perceived from other members in the region. So, famous, we've been together now for the last couple of days in respect to the discussions with all the other regional members. How do you feel about the CPA so far and the discussions? Because we obviously share some of those concerns and things that we need to focus on for developing our country.
All right. Let me dial it back a bit.
No problem. Go ahead.
In order for me to get to the CPA, we had to be invited.
Mm-hmm.
In order for me to be us to be invited, we had to get to that airport.
Mm-hmm.
So let me start by saying, from the minute we touched down in Cayman Islands, we've experienced Cayman kind. So as fellow Caribbean people, we know that as Caribbean people, our greatest asset is each other.
Yes, agreed.
How we interact with each other, how we talk with each other, how we take care of each other. So I say that to say the CPA is the event, but more importantly, it's the coming together of Caribbean people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been the greatest experience so far, and this being my first time to Cayman. It's been a pleasure driving around, being driven around, interacting with Caymanians, hearing their stories, and in doing so, I was able to go into the CPA with a greater sense of what Caymanians and the people and Cayman Islands, the country, is facing. So if I as I listen to the Honorable Premier, as I listen to the Honorable Speaker, as I listen to the Honorable Chris Saunders, as I listen to yourself, it only solidified what the people of Cayman Islands have been saying. Because as we know, as politicians, we don't elect ourselves.
That's true.
The people elect us. And if we don't listen to the people, they get rid of us.
That's true. This is true.
All right? As you on the better side of it last year.
You're right.
Right?
In that opportunity to go around, because I think yourself and your Honorable Speaker had the opportunity or a practice that if you go to any other region or nation, you try to get a sense a couple of days before you get into the dialogue and discussions about the various topics. And no, you and I have had off-camera discussions about some of the things that you see that are common from Cayman's perspective, based on feedback from persons and from other elected members that are similar to that of Bermuda. Have you found any similarities? Do you hear some of the concerns yet so far from the people that you may be hearing back home as well?
Well, I will put it again. I'll go back to say this. Oddly enough, if you took a map of Bermuda and you took a map of Cayman, Grand Cayman, it almost looked like the identical island, except for Grand Cayman is 5 times bigger.
Is that right?
So
The shape is very similar. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So even right up to how West Bay, we have what we call West End. It's the same hook, same sort of fish hook sort of look.
Oh my!
So I always was fascinated that God must have said, okay, let me make Bermuda first, and then once I perfect that, I'll make Cayman Islands.
Oh, I like the way
bigger.
you put that. I was just for a minute going to go and say, hold on, why did he do Bermuda first?
That was the mill.
Continue.
Right. So on Sunday, the speaker, myself, my son, and the speaker's wife, we drove around the entire circumference of. Let me clarify the circumference of Cayman Islands, and got to speak to some folks and just hear their stories. So coming into the CPA, we had I don't want to say advanced idea, but we weren't coming into it blind.
Yes.
put it completely, we don't want just...
Some members flew right in, went straight to the hotel, and then was right into the dialogue and conversation. That's a good practice. I think it's something that we should practice here as Cayman, as members, that whenever we go into a location, to probably be there a day or two before, right? And usually that's what happens with us, to get a sense of things if we haven't been there before. But yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break now, folks. Please stay tuned. When we return, the conversation will continue with MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan and Bermudan MP Mr. Christopher Famous. And I must say, I can add to that as well, that he represents Devonshire East in the Bermudan House of Assembly, Bermudan Parliament. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
A significant development, or lack thereof, in the Cayman Islands' histories is the absence of archaeological evidence of Amerindian settlements. Archaeologists' search started from the 1920s when Mr. Jess Fuchs came to the islands until 1994 when archaeologist William Keegan explored the shores and caves around Grand Cayman. However, this did not prove productive as no evidence of previous human occupation was found. The Amerindians of the Caribbean have been long known to have excellent maritime skills, traveled long distances, settling in Jamaica, Cuba, and the Isle of Pines, but there has been no proof of settlement in the Cayman Islands. It is almost incomprehensible that these proficient mariners would have simply missed the existence of these islands. A more believable prospect is that the islands did not have much to offer the previous visitors, given the absence of fresh water, edible foliage, not to mention the abundance of crocodile guardians that were present here.
Radio Cayman's Historical Facts Vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
Cayman National Bank has been proudly serving the Cayman community for over 40 years. With over 7 customer service centers and ATMs located throughout Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman, Cayman National makes banking easy. Whether you're out dining, shopping, or playing, we invite you to visit our customer service center, conveniently situated at Camana Bay, which offers full-service banking along with ample parking. I invite you to visit us at Camana Bay, where banking blossoms.
The Cayman Pharmacy Group provides you with more than just prescriptions. We strive to make your health our concern. We recognize the complexities of pharmaceuticals and the need to personalize your care. That is why we offer personalized one-on-one counseling. Our pharmacists are here to assist you with questions you may have about your health and the medications you've been prescribed. With West Bay Pharmacy and CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, the Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. We care about your health.
The empowered woman. Performance-driven, strong-spirited. You need a ride to match your drive. Whether boss by day or mom by night, with lots of legroom and space for sports gear and other things. The new Ford EcoSport is built for you, and it's now on sale for only $22,000, saving you $2,900 off during That Motors summer sale. Stop by That Motors, where you can also save $3,000 off the new Ford Ranger XLT double cab truck. Just 2 of the many great deals going on now at That Motors on Walkers Road.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Can you explain what a less than container load is for shipment and what your minimum charge is?
Sure. A less than container load, or LCL, is any overseas shipment that does not require the full space of a container. At Seaboard, we have great rates for small packages. Just let us know the dimensions of your package and we'll help you out from there.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Accidents can happen at any time and can leave a strain on you and your family. Be prepared with Workman's Compensation Insurance from Fidelity Insurance. Our brokers can help you meet your government requirements and ensure that you are covered should an accident happen. Don't leave it to chance. Email Fidelity Insurance at insure@fidelitykman.com for a free quote. Get workman's compensation from Fidelity Insurance and get some peace of mind. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Kick off your summer at Celebrate Cayman Summer Festival.
Our people, our culture, our history, our heritage, our future.
Enjoy live music performances, local foods, arts and crafts, history and fireworks. Don't miss this enchanting evening, Saturday, June 23rd from 4 p.m. until midnight along the Georgetown Harbor Front. For more information, including vendor and participation opportunities, visit celebratecayman.ky. The Celebrate Cayman Summer Festival, Saturday, June 23rd. Admission is free, so come out and help us to celebrate Cayman.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record, with your host, Orett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan, and he has brought along a colleague with him. That colleague is Mr. Christopher Famous. He is a Bermudan MP. He's a government backbencher as well, and he represents the parish or the constituency of Devonshire East in Bermuda as well. So we have lots to talk about. But Mr. Bryan is going to continue talking with Mr. Famous about the CPA conference. We're going to deviate somewhat later on as well. Mr. Famous has written several articles in the Royal Gazette, which is one of the Bermudan newspapers. I'm not sure if that's a government paper or not. I guess it depends on which government is in office at the time. But he has written several articles, one about the leader of the opposition. He has made comments, another letter that he wrote, an article entitled Case to be Made for Bermudan Police Commissioner. We want to talk about that because you heard him say earlier, there are so many similarities between Bermuda and the Cayman Islands, including the shape of the islands. And I can recall that. I recall riding my bicycle in Bermuda, and at nights, in the evenings, coming back from, I'm trying to remember, I think it may have been St. George's, the area of St. George's.
Down the east.
Yes, and then when you look, you can see the curvature of the island, and you see the lights all across the water on the other side. And it reminds me of when you're going through Bordentown, Bordentown early in the mornings, and you look towards East End over the water there, and you see all of the lights as well. So many similarities. Of course, the one thing that we always compare each other with, and we say that they're not necessarily similar, are the constitutions, Bermuda Constitution and the Cayman Islands Constitution as well. But I'm going to hand the mic back over to Mr. Bryan so that he can converse.
I think we're going to be able to try to cover up that the conference early, so we can get to some of the other topical things.
Exactly.
And Famous, you were just speaking about the 4 topics that we've had so far off the air. Which one has intrigued you the most so far?
Well, I would say they were all relevant. The first one being the security of Parliament, physical security, because there have been attacks in the UK, attacks on Parliament in Trinidad in the 1990s. And so that we haven't, fortunately, none of us have experienced that besides those 2 jurisdictions.
But you did block the entrance to Parliament at one point in time to prevent your MPs from going in.
We did quite a few things, but we did it. This gentleman doesn't miss a trick.
On point. We got some pretty amazing leaders here too, and OC is definitely going to be able to drill you after this round in respect to historical things. But so security.
Security. Then we moved on to education, which is very relevant because we want our people in the region to be highly literate, highly functionable, highly employable, and highly entrepreneurial.
I found that one to be rather interesting because without a game plan of direction, it's really hard for you to go ahead and actually educate your people for where you go. Where are you going? So I found that one rather interesting. I like that session.
Yeah, like in Bermuda, we were grappling with the rapidly changing technology. So now we are venturing into fintech, which is financial technology, blockchain, quote unquote cryptocurrency, and we have to educate our people for that. There's that are still in school, and there's that want to retool. So education, as we know, is an ongoing process. Me coming into this studio is an education for me. You take me around and introduce me to people and showing me where Miss Smith stays on the corner in the gingerbread house. Education to me. That was Monday. Then on Tuesday, yesterday, we had I think we have a designing programs a genius. Who designed this program?
I think that that's a clerk of the assembly that did that.
I don't mean the layout. I meant the actual topics.
Oh well, that I have to give all that credit to the Honorable Speaker of the House, Mr. Bush. And matter of fact, I want to take this opportunity to say he's been doing such an amazing job in respect to being the host for this, and he doesn't hold back on anything. He goes all out, and he's famous for a reason. You're not going to forget the Honorable McKeever Bush.
No,
because he goes all out and almost like a history in this pamphlet, as well as all the dignitaries and stuff. But yeah, he has to give all the credit in that respect. So we were talking about Tuesday, and Tuesday was the next.
They
topics.
called it the parliamentary term is plenary session.
Yes.
Right. So the plenary session.
Relevant population growth in the jurisdiction.
Yeah, so that was very intriguing because we had two presenters, one being the Speaker of the House from Isle of Man, who spoke about their population growth over the last, I want to say, 40 years, and their further plans for population growth, what stimulates the economy, what sustains the economy, what is driving people to migrate to the Isle of Man, blah blah, and how have they developed the Isle of Man from quote unquote tiny fishing island into a borderline metropolis, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And then there was Honorable
Alden McLaughlin, our Premier.
Premier, who spoke of, in his term, the Cayman miracle.
Yes.
Where he spoke impassionately, I should say, about him being born in the 1960s, and at that time the population of Cayman Islands being a combined population being 8,000 persons. Yes. And he took us right through to the whole journey to the point now where the latest statistics are indicating that Cayman Islands is now at 64,000 persons. Yes, correct. Yeah. So if you do the maths,
quadrupled since then. Basically,
that's eight times.
I think I saw something in the papers that in 20 years, population has grown by 70%.
Yeah, there was a number of statistics that he reeled out. He tends to talk a little fast. I was trying to get notes, and
I'm just mindful that we're about to go to another break, right? But
1 minute.
1 minute. So what about the fourth session? Matter of fact, let me ask you this before we go to the break. Which one was the most triggering for you? Like, okay, I like that session, or that one hit a nerve or anything like that for me? Which one was the most?
I would say the third and the fourth. The morning session, talking about population growth because that's relevant to Bermuda, and the fourth one, which was about decolonization, but it segued into something a lot more relevant.
Yes, which I think we're going to talk about when we get back. Which is obviously you're grappling with exactly what we're grappling with in respect to the UK's decision and how that's affecting our economies. But I know we have to go to break, so I'll go back there. We'll see you,
folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news with MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan and Bermudan MP Mr. Christopher Famous. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Studio time now by Price Right is 7:59.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Access information. Your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. A man who attempted to flee from police at a road check is arrested for several offenses. Radio Cayman's Andrel Harris has more.
A spokesperson for the RCIPS says on Saturday, shortly after 12:20 a.m., officers conducting road checks near the Camana Bay roundabout observed a man driving without his seatbelt. When officers signaled for him to stop and pull over, they say he sped off at a high speed. Police say officers followed the vehicle and enlisted the help of the police helicopter, which tracked the man to an area off Prospect Point Road. The statement says the man fled the car and tried to hide in thick bush near the area, so the K9 unit was called in and the 26-year-old Bordentown man was tracked down by a police dog. The man was arrested for several offenses, including suspicion of dangerous driving and driving while being disqualified. Officers say it was later discovered that the 26-year-old was driving without permission of the owner, for which he was also arrested. I'm Andrel Harris for Radio Cayman News.
The police marine unit sprang into action over the weekend to help locate a kite surfer who disappeared while off the coast of Barkers and West Bay. A statement from the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service says the joint marine unit on patrol off 7 Mile Beach was directed to the man's location with the help of a police helicopter. He was taken on board and back to land, where it was determined that he had lost control of his board while kite surfing and fell in the water. Police say the kite surfer was able to swim back to his board, but was not able to get the kite back into the area, thereby forcing him to drift out to the reef. The man suffered a minor cut, which did not require medical attention. Today is World Refugee Day. Radio Cayman's April Cummings brings you this story.
The theme this year is #WithRefugees, and the Cayman Islands Human Rights Commission is joining with the United Nations and other countries to raise awareness about the shared responsibility of supporting families forced to flee their homes due to war or persecution. The Commission says today there are less than 20 migrants on the island awaiting the outcomes of asylum applications or waiting on further processing by the Department of Immigration. The Commission says while today there are less than 20 migrants on the islands right now, in recent times the country's housed more than 100 migrants at one time. The Commission says it's taken an active interest in the handling of migrants and asylum applicants over the years, highlighting a range of related issues. The Commission notes government has made improvements in some very significant areas, but also urged public authorities to continue to work alongside non-governmental organizations like the Red Cross, churches, and pro bono legal services to continue to improve the treatment of refugees as a vulnerable population. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
To learn more, visit humanrightscommission.ky or the UN's World Refugee Day website. It's summertime, and that means Camp at the Y. Come July 3rd, the YMCA will begin a series of 4 different camps for children up to teenagers. There will be a traditional day camp featuring swimming and field events, an Island Explorer Camp, a Y Junior Chef Camp teaching youngsters cooking skills, and a challenge camp where physical strength will be put to the test. The camps will be at the Field of Dreams in Georgetown, Camana Bay's Sports Complex, and the Cayman Islands Baptist Church Youth Center in Savannah. There will also be a camp on the Brac. On-site registration for the Y camps will be open weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Field of Dreams until June 29th, and the camp wraps up on August 24th. For more information about camp prices or registration, log on to ymcacayman.ky. And now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, who will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's Newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith.
A report in Britain says more than 450 elderly people died in a hospital in southern England as a result of being given unnecessary opioid painkillers. The investigation into the deaths in the town of Gosport found that another 200 had probably died in the same way between 1989 and 2000. The Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development says the United States has overtaken Germany as the main destination for asylum seekers. It said that last year, applications in the US increased by 26% to more than 300,000, overtaking Germany, which saw a 73% drop. Officials in Afghanistan say 30 members of the security forces have been killed by militants in the northwestern province of Badghis. The provincial governor's spokesman said militants, thought to be members of the Taliban, attacked 2 army posts and later ambushed reinforcements. BBC News.
Access. Information. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
Radio Cayman's premier health show,
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
is brought to you on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and then repeated Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on 89.9 and 93.9 FM. Proudly brought to you by the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association. For more information on how you can become a member or the benefits of the CICSA, please visit www.cicsa.ky.
With Tara Bush.
In financial news, Asian and European stocks rose today as investors rallied around signs that the global economy was on track amid heated exchanges between the world's 2 largest economies over trade. Keeping score, European shares rose in early trading. Germany's DAX rose 0.4% to 12,727, and France's CAC 40 added 0.3% to 5,405. Britain's FTSE 100 gained 1.2% to 7,695. Wall Street is poised to open higher. Dow futures added 0.4% to 24,808, and broader S&P 500 futures are up 0.3% to 2,773. Looking at Asia's day, Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 index rebounded 1.2% to close at 22,555, and South Korea's Kospi gained 1% to 2,363. Hong Kong's Hang Seng rose 0.8% to 29,696, and the Shanghai Composite in mainland China increased 0.3% to 2,915. In energy, oil futures ticked up ahead of Friday's OPEC meeting. Saudi Arabia and Russia are seeking to raise production by 1.5 million barrels per day, but they may not get their way. Analysts expect the group to consider an increase in production of 1 million barrels a day, ending the output cut agreed on in 2016. Benchmark U.S. crude rose 52 cents to $65.42 a barrel in electronic trading on the New York Mercantile Exchange. The contract settled at $64.90 per barrel on Tuesday. Brent crude used to price international oils gained 50 cents to $75.58 in London. And in currencies, the dollar rose to 110.14 yen from 110.07 in late trading Tuesday. The euro dipped to 1.1561 from 1.1575.
CEC advises customers in Mount Pleasant and the Shores areas in West Bay that they will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Friday, June 22nd between 9 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Areas affected include all customers on Meadow Avenue, Broca Close, Up the Hill Road, Coppice Lane, Glade Drive, Bonneville Drive, Adonis Drive, Shorelink Terrace, Bayshore Drive, Shorescape Lane, Shorewinds Trail, Shoreview Point, Shoreline Drive, and Shoreline Circle. Motorists are asked to drive with caution when utilizing these roads, as CUC will have a number of vehicles and personnel in this area. CUC apologizes for this interruption, which is necessary to facilitate the upgrading of lines and poles to provide access for telecommunication companies offering high-speed fiber to customers in these areas. For more information on the outage and streets affected, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
Important notice for all contractors, including general, civil, residential, building, and trade contractors. The Department of Planning would like to inform you that in order to pull permits and request inspections, your company must be registered with the Builders Board by July 31st, 2018. Failure to register with the Builders Board will prevent you from seeking permits and inspections. Fees and applications can be found online at www.planning.ky. All applications and fees for all contractors must be submitted by July 31st, 2018.
Your weather update after 8 is brought to you by
Brand Source Home Gallery. Visit brandsourcecayman.com for your kitchen, bath, mattress, and furnishing needs.
Brand Source Home Gallery has been appointed the exclusive Cayman supplier for Duravit bathroom products. Duravit is the leading international manufacturer of bathroom ceramics, tubs, and showers, recognized around the world for beautiful, functional products. Winner of top industry awards, Duravit collaborates with leading European designers to provide the most elegant and innovative bath products. If you're ready to bring style, comfort, and innovation to your bathroom, visit Brand Source Home Gallery to see the new Duravit showroom and meet the in-house bath designer. Whether you're planning a functional family bathroom or a personal spa retreat, browse the Duravit collection and be inspired. Brand Source Home Gallery, delivering a new standard in custom designed bathrooms. Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
Pleasant good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Current temperature is 82 degrees. Relative humidity is 85%. Barometric pressure 29.96 inches and rising. The wind is east at 4 knots. Overnight low temperature was 76 degrees. Synopsis indicate light easterly winds and smooth to slight seas will continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours in association with a weak ridge of high pressure. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman Islands moving west. The forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of afternoon showers, and temperatures will rise to the upper 80s. Your winds will be easterly 5 to 10 knots and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Tonight, pretty much the same, partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures falling to the upper 70s. Your winds will be easterly at 5 to 10 knots and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Low tide will occur this morning at 10:36, high tide this evening at 9 minutes past 5, and a low tide again tonight at 11:04. Sunset will be at 4 minutes past 7, and sun will rise tomorrow morning at 5:49. And the outlook is calling for an increase in cloudiness and shower activity from Friday morning as a tropical wave enters the northwest Caribbean. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
Your weather update after 8 is brought to you by
Brand Source Home Gallery. Visit brandsourcecayman.com for your kitchen, bath, mattress, and furnishing needs.
Radio Cayman Traffic Update is brought to you by Saxon Insurance. Saxon saves you time and money with online quoting, flexible premiums, and competitive pricing. Get Saxon Insurance. It's the smart thing to do.
When you're trying to pick insurance, it can be hard to tell which is best because they all say they're the best. Saxon Insurance won't tell you they're the best. They let their customers speak for themselves. Like Sarah Crowley, she said, with a variety of payment options and unrivaled comprehensive insurance plans, I've been able to breathe easy, knowing I'm covered. Sounds like a satisfied customer to me.
Become a satisfied customer. Get Saxon Smart Insurance.
Good morning once again. Time now to take a look what's happening on the roads. Shamrock Road, busy traffic. Steady but flowing traffic on the Linford Pearson Highway. Of course, it's going to get a lot busier as the traffic moves further down the road. Edward Street in front of the Georgetown Post Office, light to moderate traffic flow. On the West Bay Road, traffic is moderate in both directions. And Shedden Road in and out of Georgetown, traffic moving moderately. And light to moderate traffic flow on Eastern Avenue. Godfrey-Nixon Way, moderate flow of traffic. Light traffic on Owen Roberts Drive and traffic flowing moderately on Hunter Avenue, Crew Road, and also on Elgin Avenue, and moderate flow of traffic coming off Bobby Thompson Way. North Sound Road, traffic is moderate at the moment. And that's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 as we update you on your traffic.
Radio Cayman Traffic Update is brought to you by Saxon Insurance. Saxon saves you time and money with online quoting, flexible premiums, and competitive pricing. Get Saxon Insurance. It's the smart thing to do.
Optical Outlook is so wicked.
They're brilliant. Tremendous.
So hot.
They're awesome. Yo, them cool.
They're sweet.
Just ice, mate.
I love them like cooked food.
Head to Optical Outlook and find many designer brands for men and women. Sun safety and eye health care never look so good. They'll be able to help you find the best fit for your face and budget. Call 746-2020 and book your eye exam today. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook and make sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
This BBC World Cup update from Russia brought to you by GT Motors.
Hands up for your colors.
Get up to $3,000 cash back during the Kia clearance sale today.
Today in Russia update from the BBC.
Hello, I'm Shojo Saka at the BBC Sports Centre. World Cup hosts Russia virtually booked their place in the second round with a 3-1 win over Egypt in Group A. With the details, here's John Bennett.
6 days ago, Russia were bracing themselves for a World Cup humiliation. There was little or no faith that this team could perform at their home World Cup. Now, after 2 games, they're surely heading for the last 16 for the first time since 1986 and the days of the Soviet Union. They also have a new hero. Denis Cheryshev scored 2 goals for the second game in a row. That was after Ahmed Fatih's own goal had broken the deadlock. As for Egypt, their hero Mohamed Salah scored a consolation goal from the spot, but he still looked troubled by his shoulder injury.
Senegal beat Poland 2-1 in a game of few chances to register the first win by an African team at the World Cup. Also in Group H, Japan beat Colombia by 2-1, with the South Americans having a man sent off after 3 minutes. Yuya Osako scored the winning goal. Japan-based journalist Ben Mabley says the result has shocked the nation.
It is a huge surprise after a really tumultuous preparation period in which they changed the manager at the last minute and only had 3 friendlies to sort things out. But what a fantastic start. Obviously, the early red card for Carlos Sanchez had a decisive impact over the rest of the game. But even in spite of that, Colombia were very good for most of the first half, deservedly got back level, and Japan were under the cosh. I thought the way Japan came out and went back to their original game plan in the second half and executed that very well was extremely promising.
So looking ahead to Wednesday, Portugal will have a fully fit squad to choose from when they play Morocco, whereas the North Africans have an injury crisis at right back, with Nordin Amrabat ruled out with concussion. The other match in Group B will be Spain versus Iran in Kazan. And in Group A, if Uruguay beat Saudi Arabia, they and the hosts Russia will be guaranteed a place in the last 16. For more football news from the BBC, go to bbc.com/football.
Today in Russia update from the BBC.
This BBC World Cup update from Russia brought to you by GT Motors.
Hands up for your colors.
Get up to $3,000 cash back during the Kia clearance sale today.
Kia Soul passes it to Kia Sportage. Sportage makes a stylish move over to the sleek Optima. Optima then flicks it across to the 7-seat Sorento. Sorento heads it. Goal! Kia!
It's time to score with the entire 2018 Kia lineup at GT Motors. Get up to $3,000 cash back. The first 50 customers will score a World Cup replica football and mascot. Hurry, it's the best thing that's happened to car buyers all year. The 2018 Kia clearance sale, only at GT Motors on Godfrey-Nixon Way. Kia, driving football fever.
Initiating system.
For information that matters, for the record, with Orett Connor continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, MLA, Mr. Kenneth Bryan. Also with us, we have Bermudan MP, Mr. Christopher Famous, represents Devonshire East in the Bermuda Parliament. We're talking initially about the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association conference that's being held here in the Cayman Islands, and Mr. Bryan is conversing with Mr. Famous with that. Later on in the show, we want to talk about Bermuda. We constantly, on this talk show, mention Bermuda and compare and contrast the situation in Bermuda with the situation in the Cayman Islands as well, and we want to have an opportunity somewhere along the line to talk to Mr. Famous about some of the things that are occurring in Bermuda, and you will see the similarities between Bermuda and the Cayman Islands. And no better person to hear it from than a Bermudan and a Bermudan MP at that. Mr. Bryan, I'm going to pass the mic back over to you.
OC, thanks again. For the purposes of time management, I think it's probably best that we kind of close the element of discussion in respect, particularly for the CPA, because I think we have a unique opportunity to hear some of the experiences that another jurisdiction is having that's very similar to ours. The Honourable Speaker of the House have highlighted much of what's happening in the CPA, and there will be more discussion to hear about discussions and what came up in it. But I think the opportunity to actually hear directly from an MP about those similarities, I think we should get into that discussion now. So you can open up the line of questioning however you like.
Sure. Well, first I would note that when the UK talks about the overseas territories, it normally says the Caribbean overseas territories and Bermuda, recognizing the geographic position of Bermuda much farther to the north, closer to North America. So Bermuda stands out in that regard. But we heard during the conversation off air the activities of Bermuda, especially the Bermudan regiment, in terms of assisting other overseas, other Caribbean islands in relation to disaster assistance in other areas as well. And Mr. Famous will talk about that himself. His postings, for instance, for a year with the Jamaica Defense Force being sent to other Caribbean islands as well. And then Cayman's position. We're here in the Caribbean, but years past, and some may even say so now, is that while we were in the Caribbean, Cayman sort of like removes itself from the rest of the Caribbean. Yeah. It's them. We're different. We're different. While the approach in Bermuda is we're far away from you, but we're a part of you.
Yes.
Because that's where our roots are from. I'd like you to comment on that first, Mr. Famous.
Which segment you?
Your alliances with the Caribbean, despite the fact that you're so far removed from us. Yeah, geographically.
Yes, well, what I would say to the people of Cayman is that let's remember. Let's remember that we all came on ships. It wasn't Carnival cruise ships. So if one ship stopped in one island, another ship stopped in another island, we all came on ships over the course of 400 years. And that has been drilled into us by our elders, that irrespective of, as Peter Tosh says, no matter where you come from, as long as you are a black man, you are an African. So my point is that that's been drilled into us, at least in my community, that the majority of people in Bermuda, the family comes from St. Kitts, and prior to that, the West Coast of Africa. So we've always been indoctrinated, on one hand, by the powers that be that, no, you're different from those people down there. You don't want to be there like those people. They're so backwards. They got mosquitoes. They don't have they don't have proper housing. They don't have air conditioning. All the negatives about or implied negatives about the Caribbean. And at one time, there was a direct flight from London, Bermuda to Jamaica. Jamaica, Bermuda, London. So I would say in the late 70s, when the advent, when the music of Bob Marley and the message of Rastafari start coming through, we didn't have internet then, but records start coming. People was like, whoa. You know, that when you hear that beat, like that, it pulls to you as a black person, right? And people started taking trips to Jamaica. And when they got to Jamaica and they're treated so friendly and they seen the country and eating all the Aito dishes, I'll leave it at that. And you heard all this chirping in your ears about the negatives about Jamaica. And then you come there and you see the reality of Jamaica. And you're like, people will start come back and say, oh, you can't listen to those people. Jamaica's nice, man. And then they had another flight from Canada to Bermuda to Antigua, Bermuda, Canada, on Air Canada. So people were going to other Eastern Caribbean islands. So over the course, because we didn't have internet and WhatsApp and all Snapchat all that time, you had to see these things for yourself. So over the course of time, both the teachings from our elders and people going to see these countries themselves, they realized this whole brainwashing about the Caribbean is false. And you build that affinity. People going to this island, marrying women from that island, or women from Bermuda were marrying men from other islands. So you had this cross-pollination. So you have people in Bermuda, the mothers from this island, fathers from that island. Example, my father's family comes from St. Kitts. My mother's family comes from Virgin Islands. My grandfather comes from Antigua. This is what we know about. If you peel back the layer, is a host of islands. So I say that to say that the establishment at one point used to brainwash people about, oh, you don't want to be around these people.
Divide and conquer perspective.
Right. Or like myself and Mr. Connor were of a darker you than you. You know, they'll tell you, well, you know, Kenneth, you're not one of them.
Yeah, you're okay.
And then you start thinking, well, Master gave me some lemonade. And he gave them water.
So I feel good, I'm special.
Yeah, let me keep an eye on you. Kenneth, just hang around and see if they're plotting against us.
Yeah.
That is divide and conquer.
Yeah.
And so I say that respectfully to the people of Cayman Islands, that you're surrounded by the Caribbean Sea. You are in the Caribbean. If you trace back your history, I read in this history book, at one point there were 909 inhabitants. 545 were slaves. I'm doing the maths. There seems to be majority slaves.
Yep.
Right? So, however the hegemony came about, the roots is the same.
Yes.
We are one people.
Yes.
And this is how we have to act going forward.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Famous. I want to remind our listeners that you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, Radio Cayman live stream, and you can follow us live on YouTube as well. We have one caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. For the Record.
Good morning, Doc. How are you?
Good morning.
And he'll certainly continue to listen in, and I'll give you an opportunity to respond, Mr. Famous. Sorry for that. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The empowered woman. Performance-driven, strong-spirited. You need a ride to match your drive. Whether boss by day or mom by night, with lots of legroom and space for sports gear and other things. The new Ford EcoSport is built for you, and it's now on sale for only $22,000, saving you $2,900 off during That Motors summer sale. Stop by That Motors, where you can also save $3,000 off the new Ford Ranger XLT double cab truck. Just two of the many great deals going on now at That Motors on Walker's Road.
Oh, my acid reflux is killing me.
Why don't you get something from the grocery store?
I need something better than any generic quick fix.
You should go to West Bay Pharmacy and have a brief consultation with the pharmacist. I went in last week and within minutes I was back in the car and on the road. And you know what? No more acid reflux.
How long did it take you?
Minutes. Here, give them a call at 945-0777.
West Bay Pharmacy is just around the corner with everything you need in the hours you need it. Visit us today for fast, efficient, and professional service. We are here as a team to assist you while taking care of your health. Call us today or visit our website at caymanpharmacy.com.
Do you know that conditions may change suddenly in an emergency and you may have to leave at a moment's notice? When a hurricane threatens, you should have a grab-and-go survival kit. This kit should include your personal identification and other vital documents, which should be sealed in a watertight pouch or container. For more tips and information, visit the Hazard Management Cayman Islands office or caymanprepared.ky. This hurricane tip is brought to you by Hazard Management Cayman Islands and Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
System 1 loaded. 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record, with your host, Orett Connor.
And welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, I'm Mr. Kenneth Bryan and Bermudan MP, Mr. Christopher Famous. I want to remind our listeners, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, Radio Cayman live stream, and you can follow us there as well. Now, Dr. McPhail had two questions for Mr. Famous, and we want to give him an opportunity now to respond.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to Dr. Steve McPhail. On the first question, least content on television. Yes, it's specifically designed to allow for video producers, video productions to produce more Bermudian content, and more, as importantly, to allow them to seek advertisers, because how the legislation was structured before is that only certain stations could seek video adverts for television.
Mm-hmm.
What it did is that, because if you didn't have a terrestrial TV station, you could not go and seek advertising sponsorship.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So there are a number of Bermudian grassroots very good video producers who produce content but were not allowed to get sponsorship. So obviously, if you're producing content, you got to buy a camera, you got to have a film crew, you got to do video production. All of that has money. So at one point, they had a cable channel provider saying, "Okay, give us your content, but you can't see. We love your content because it's producing sports content." Plays, any events, talk shows. They were producing a lot of stuff, but they couldn't get paid.
So let me get the money off of it for you.
Exactamundo. At one point, they were trying to charge them money
to put it on
the cable,
and then they're selling the advertising as well.
Bingo.
Wow.
So there's a lot of legislation. That's an example of legislation that needs to be done away with, to allow for lack of, to some extent, liberalization of television production, but more importantly, the allowing the growth of Bermudian culture
industry.
I definitely have to say this. I think that, obviously we're building a relationship now. I'm famous, through the conference. But you have to show me much of that legislation and how the foundation of it is coming along, because the reason why Dr. McPhail even called in, he doesn't call in for questions just so. There's a reason why he wants you to answer that, because he's not going to ask you a question if he doesn't know the answer to it. He already knew the answer. And the reason for that is simply, this is my assumption, is that we're having a bit of that now in Cayman, where there's not enough local production being done, and it has to do with the structure of our legislation. And I think there seems to be some fear of mandating a certain percentage of local content. And until we are willing to do that and mandate it, only then will people actually go out and do more production and force those who are making money off the industry to put that content up. So I'm glad to hear that there at least there's an example of a sister or brother island who has the same similarities in growth and history that we have, that we can say, well, okay, somebody else is doing it. Don't be afraid that we can do it too. So
sorry. Sure. Go ahead.
I'll give you a quick joke. 2 years ago, a friend of mine came to me. He says, "Look, I've been hired as a consultant for the one television station we have in Bermuda."
Mm-hmm.
He says, "How do you think we can modernize it?" So I pulled out my phone, went to a app.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that app was?
Mm-hmm.
Cayman 27. I said, "This if I could sit in my desk at work or wherever, and I could see Caymanian news on my phone,
mm-hmm.
I don't see why we can't do this in Bermuda."
Mm-hmm.
And so,
but
haven't quite got there yet.
The interesting point, though, is that we may be technologically more advanced in respect to the new ways of television production,
Mm-hmm.
but you are more advanced in mandating content.
Yes.
It's so funny because we're doing it at different strategies rather than actually sitting down together and go, okay, let's kind of think our minds together, because we may have all the technology, and I must say the companies that we do offer content here, our production are very up to date and up to par. Our fiber is amazing now. It's getting a lot better so quickly. But the content part is a big problem. It seems like it's happening in the reverse for you.
Well, I'll put it this way. As Mr. Connor said, I'm a columnist. So wherever I go, I like to get a local newspaper and see what's going on. And every day I walk out to the Rubis gas station and
Mm-hmm.
buy my compass.
Mm-hmm.
And I go through the first page and second page, and I'm like, okay, where's the Caymanian news?
Interesting you said that, huh?
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in there, but it's skewed in one direction, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the second question.
The second answer for Dr. McPhail. Yes, in Bermuda we have 36 MPs, elected members, and 11 appointed senators. 5 government senators, 3 independent senators, and 3 opposition senators. And our Constitution allows for up to 2 senators from government senators to be appointed as ministers.
How many ministers do you have?
By Constitution, we could have no more than 12.
Okay.
We could have 12 ministers, and it could be full-time, part-time. And then there's a allowance for 2 junior ministers.
All right.
As well.
We'll see.
Okay, we have one more caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Moderator. Good morning, Mr. Brian and Mr. Seamer.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Quincy.
You're so involved in your community. I mean, I follow you on social media. I follow you on regular mainstream media, and I think you're getting the job done. And whether it's a human interest story, whether it's speaking at a graduation at Georgetown Primary, and I thought your message was on point yesterday at the Georgetown graduation. So
thank you.
You keep up the good work. Your heart is in the right place, and you are earning your salary. You work overtime. Keep the good work up, Mr. Brian. I thought I'd like to start by saying that this morning.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome, sir, from the heart. Mr. Seamer, welcome to Cayman. I'm sure you're enjoying the warm Caymanian hospitality. Isn't that true?
Yeah, I don't think I want to leave on Saturday.
And the thing is, provisions could actually be made that you stay here forever. That's how friendly and welcoming he is.
There might be a touchy subject about me staying forever. My constituents might be like, yeah, you're doing a good job down Cayman, but we're voting you out.
What you could do, you see, Mr. Steamer, after you've served your country and you want to retire, then you can come here. I've known a few parliamentarians from other Caribbean islands who've done that. So Cayman is a warm, welcoming place. Feel right at home, yeah?
Yes, indeed.
Now, Mr. Moderator, what you see, we like to look outside and we like to get advice from the expert, because the definition, my definition of expert is the guy from the other town. When we have our own people who can be giving advice, who can be leading this country forward, the tri-island nation that we are, to transform it into what we want to become. You just look now. We don't have a whole lot of information, and I'm not going to be long-winded. We don't have a whole lot of information of why His Excellency is under investigation. Obviously, the FCO has recalled him, but we have two qualified Caymanians who are acting in the role of acting governor and acting deputy governor. It is clear to me that we have our own people who can hold these positions moving forward, right? And what gets me with the whole investigation with His Excellency, and it's not public knowledge at this time, we don't know at this point exactly why he's being investigated. I guess that'll come out in time. But it's what's awkward about the whole situation is before he even arrived, there was this bluff that was put up. Oh, he's Muslim, he's this, he's Pakistani, British Pakistani, but you know what? He came here and he warmed the hearts of the Caymanian people. There's a lot of things underfoot here, you know. A lot's happening in that government building that don't make the news, right? And it's all going to come out. I think it is time for us as Caymanians to realize that this is the beginning of the end. We talk about decolonization. Britain is trying to send us subtle messages that we need to become our own, and soon, you know. My prayer is, Mr. Bryan, that the advice you gave to those graduates yesterday as they move on to the second leg and then the third leg is that we are preparing them to one day lead this country. God help us all. I wish I was as optimistic as you are, Mr. Bryan. I thank you for taking my call.
Thank you very much. I think we have 2 minutes before the break. Just, I believe I'm correct in saying John Rankin is the current governor in Bermuda, but your deputy governor is not a Bermudan.
Yes, that's
as opposed to our constitution that says they're deputy governor.
Yes, both our governor and deputy governor are non-Bermudian.
Yes,
I'll leave it at that.
No, there seems to be some element there, because I mean your feeling about that is important here, because I want my people to hear, and the reason I brought you on is to get the feel of your people, because you represent your people. What is your people in Bermuda feeling about that relationship? Because we have different constitutions, right? And obviously Caymanians say, okay, we can work with at least a deputy being Caymanian. We haven't gotten ready to fight yet, but one caller has just said, so maybe it's time for us to have both positions Caymanian. But I can tell by the way you answered that there seems to be some dismay with the fact that they're both non-Bermudans.
Well, the deputy governor generally just fills in whenever the governor's not there. So even if there was a Bermudian, still you're just secondary to some extent, right? So
the effectiveness of the post
is somewhat of, from what I see, a degree of appeasement. It's the same thing in BVI. Deputy governors from BVI,
yeah,
but he's not calling the shots.
True,
right? The other day we were warmly greeted at Government House, and we drove into the gates. I'm like, well, it's just off the road. And we go into the backside, and it's literally on the beach. It's just basically one picket fence between Government House and the beach. In Bermuda, Government House sits on a property of, I could say, maybe 50 acres of land. You have this gigantic castle on top of the hill, police guards all over the place. You can't get onto Government House grounds.
It's a long drive in.
Right? Like from the entrance of Government House grounds, the gate to the actual Government House probably take you about 3 minutes to get there. So it's literally this, like how you see this, like in the old movies, the castle on top of the hill and the guards all around. And what what adds insult to injury for us, and I can say this freely because this is the sentiment of my party and my people.
Mm-hmm.
We have to pay for all of that. We pay for the grants. We pay for the police. We pay the governor's salary. But yet, you're the guy that if you feel like not signing something into royal assent, you're going to do that. So let's take that in context. I'm paying your salary, but you're my boss. What does that sound like? There's a C word for that. Anyone care to take
Colonialism.
Colonialism.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. And the Americans rebelled because of things like that. But we here in the Caribbean, we take it.
You know, and this whole thing about on the Queen's birthday parade or whatever, he comes down and wears this big, peacock hat.
Yeah.
Some people, years ago, people were enthralled by that. June the 9th, there was the Queen's birthday parade.
Mm-hmm.
And all government ministers and MP were invited to come.
Mm-hmm.
Not me. I not going. I wasn't even watching on TV. And somebody sent me the video clips. And what warmed my heart was that apart from the uniformed services, which was the regiment, the police, and I think Sea Cadets, the streets were essentially empty. In BVI, same thing. They have annual Queen's birthday parade. They held it at a sports ground.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to one of my cousins, fellow MP from BVI. I said, well, how did the Queen's birthday parade be this year? Apart from the uniformed service, it was literally empty. And the government representative intervened on the protest because the substantive premier was off the island at the time.
You think that has anything to do with the recent decision by the UK of beneficial ownership?
For sure. I mean, these things there's actions.
Sorry to interrupt you there. We need to take a commercial break. Okay. We're probably about three minutes late on that. Okay. Folks, please stay tuned, and we hope that you're following us on YouTube, Radio Cayman live as well. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Sometimes having a middleman is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to insurance. Do you know that when it comes to cost, ease, speed, and peace of mind, insurance brokers ranked higher than when customers buy direct? So, for all your insurance needs, call Fidelity Insurance. We're the middleman you want. Call us today at 949-7822. Fidelity. We're good for you.
The empowered woman. Performance-driven, strong-spirited. You need a ride to match your drive. Whether boss by day or mom by night, with lots of legroom and space for sports gear and other things. The new Ford EcoSport is built for you, and it's now on sale for only $22,000, saving you $2,900 off during That Motors summer sale. Stop by That Motors, where you can also save $3,000 off the new Ford Ranger XLT double cab truck. Just two of the many great deals going on now at That Motors on Walker's Road.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record with Orett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
And welcome back to For the Record. For those of you who may be experiencing traffic delays, it is because there is an accident somewhere in the vicinity of Smith Road. So that will be slowing traffic down quite a bit, despite the fact that this time of the morning traffic is pretty heavy as it is. And there's also an accident in the Red Bay area as well. Yep, we do trust that. we had the pleasure of having in the studio with us Mr. Kenneth Bryan, and I want to thank him very much for having Bermudan MP, Mr. Christopher Famous, here with us. It couldn't be more timely based on what's been happening. And he said to me this morning when he called, I want you to know I'm bringing a guest with me, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised as well. And what a pleasant surprise it is. I want to give Mr. Famous an opportunity to finish the conversation about the governor, the role of the governor as well. And just to point out that here in the Cayman Islands, we have basically done away with the ceremonial dress of governors. There was one governor who came down who didn't really want to get involved in that. I believe it may have been Stuart Jack. And that may have been also because he was so short, he would have really looked sort of weird, and you know, with the plume, the hat and the plume and everything. He would have looked pretty weird with that. And then after that, we may not have enough time before we go to our headline news at 9 o'clock, but we want to talk about the appointments of commissioners of police in Bermuda and in the Cayman Islands as well. Mr. Famous.
Yes, as I said, there's a growing sentiment of evolution that it's come time to do away with certain figureheads or certain
some of the vestiges of colonialism.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, Mr. Speaker. The vestiges of colonialism. And one of the things that crystallized it for Bermudians is that with the appointment of the newest police commissioner, is a gentleman that if the gentleman has visited Bermuda once, it may be it. But you're now going to be the police commissioner. And you backtrack it, and the Constitution of Bermuda said that the governor, which is an agent of the FCO, is in charge of our police, is in charge of our army. Like we're not in charge of our defenses. He has the final say in everything. We may be the manpower, but whatever he decides is what we're going to do. And if we want to do something different, it's not going to happen. And I grew up in an area similar to your constituency. We call it back of town, which was basically majority Caribbean immigrants, for lack of a better term, lower income, but high in pride. And we felt the full brunt of racism, colonialism, every ism. And one of it was we don't like the police because they were majority English police who used to harass us, lock us up for no reason. You know, there was like full-on racism between the police in Bermuda, or a large proportion of the police who were mostly English, and us as the blacks. Right? And so we had no love for the police. They had no love for us. That's why we know how to run fast too, right? But the point I'm getting at is that, so whenever if we saw any one of our cousins or neighbors talking about joining police, we pull them to the side and join what? You join police, you're going to have to leave this neighborhood because you ain't going to be able to stay around there. And you know, you had these terms, Babylon, boiler, sellout, all these type of terms. So over the course of time, we realized, okay, if we got pulled over by an English cop, you know you're getting in jail or you're getting a ticket. You get pulled over by a Bermudian, you can get a caution like, listen, you know that light's supposed to be fixed. Listen, you know your car's not licensed, but I'm going to give you till tomorrow to sort that out. So you had that more community feel, police versus, "Hey, mate, you're going to jail tonight, eh? You're going to eat KFC for the next 3 days, eh?" Right? So you had that, you start to differentiate, okay. So you start seeing your locals go in as constable and you say, okay, he's going to make it to sergeant. Wow, he made it to sergeant. He's going to make it to inspector. Wow, he made it to inspector. You're thinking, wow, he can make it all the way to commissioner, you know? And we could have a more fair and equitable police force. And one or two did make it to commissioner. And then here you have a larger percentage of Bermudians now in the police force, or police service, as they say. And we get hit with, well, none of you are good enough to be commissioner.
That's exactly what we're having now. Mm-hmm. Exactly what we're dealing
and
with.
Three were shortlisted.
Mm-hmm. And so the question, so you peel back the onion. So why aren't they good enough to be commissioner? Because you only had 30 years to train them. No succession plan. No proper succession plan.
You remember when you quoted me at the CPA about my motion, the conveyor belt approach, and I was so blown away that you actually quoted that, because I didn't think anybody from any other region would be listening to my delivery and my motion. But that's exactly what I was trying to fight for in respect to my motion to secure the chief immigration officer and a chief fire officer to be Caymanian by way of legislation, and it didn't pass. But those same problems you're having in Bermuda, the same things we're dealing with here.
Yeah, because let's keep it real, right? If someone comes in on the top job, getting good pay, good pension prospects, they're not trying to leave, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They're not trying to say, well, I'm going to train Brian to take over my job. I'm going to train Mr. Connor to take over my job. I'm going to train Mr. Wilkes to take over my job. It's going to be, okay, how can I make sure I don't train them so they have to rehire me again, extend my contract? More importantly, how can I get some of my friends to come in
and back me up?
Yeah, that's the inherent thing that we have in Bermuda.
Yeah. Now, in this case, then the former commissioner Michael De Silva, how badly does it reflect on him in terms of not having someone in line to succeed him? I think he succeeded Jonathan Jackson, and prior to that, it may have been George Jackson, and Jonathan Smith. Who's a white Bermudan, but Bermudan, all the same.
As long as you're Bermudian, that's the first.
And prior to that, Clive Donald.
Right. So I don't know the structure here, but I would hope that if you took a vacation, I don't know, maybe to Bermuda, that Mr. Wilkes could take over. Not take over, but fill in.
Yep.
Or Mr. Bryan has someone in his constituency that, hey, I'm going off island to defend the Cayman Islands, but I need you to hold on the corners right here and check on this and make sure the canvassing's going on, make sure Miss Smith has her crab cakes or her iguana patties, whatever. Part of leadership is training your successor. If you have not trained at least 3 or 4 successors, you failed as a leader.
That's right. I agree with you on that.
You've totally failed. It's like is equivalent to by the time your son goes 16 or 18, he has no idea how to drive a car. You failed as a father.
Yep. Okay, we're going to our 9 o'clock headline news. When we come back, we use the excuse here in the Cayman Islands, and I think I've seen it articulated in Bermuda as well, that the police service, the civil service, is not like a business, where in the business community, they have lines of succession, but for some reason we use the excuse that you can't do it in the civil service. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the headline news.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Traffic is crawling from the eastern districts this morning. Unconfirmed report suggests there has been a car crash near Peanuts that's causing the delays. Radio Cayman is awaiting a statement from police, so make sure to keep it locked. Trump administration officials have been sending babies and other young children forcibly separated from their parents at the U.S.-Mexico border to at least 3 tender-age shelters in South Texas. This is according to the Associated Press. Lawyers and medical providers who visited the Rio Grande Valley shelters described playrooms of crying preschool-aged children in crisis. The government also plans to open a 4th shelter to house hundreds of young migrant children in Houston, where city leaders denounced the move on Tuesday. And in World Cup news, the first matchup today pitted Portugal against Morocco. Ronaldo found the net early in the game in the 4th minute, leading to a final score of 1-0. Up next is Uruguay versus Saudi Arabia at 10 a.m. local time. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record with Orett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Mr. Kenneth MLA, Mr. Kenneth Bryan, and Bermudan MP, Mr. Christopher Famous. He represents the constituency of Devonshire East in the Bermuda Parliament. He is also, a writer, a journalist. He has written several articles in the Royal Gazette. One of those articles written June of this year, this month. Case to be made for Bermudan Police Commissioner. If that phrase sounds familiar, we could easily take the word Bermudan out and insert Caymanian Police Commissioner there as well. So, Mr. Famous, my last statement before we went to the break was that the comparison between the private sector and the public sector, and the fact that many people have argued you can't treat the public sector the way that the private sector run, the same way that they run their business. Lines of succession are not as clearly defined in the civil service as they are otherwise.
Yeah, and then there will be that will be the same set of people that says the public sector needs to be more like the private sector in being more efficient.
Yeah.
So so it's okay. You want us to
doing more with less.
You want us to be efficient in this way, but we shouldn't be efficient in training successors.
Uh-huh.
And I say this in Bermuda. I'm not totally familiar with the Caymanian context, but in Bermuda context, what was happening is in the 70s we had a thriving hotel industry. So Bermudians were taking their money, saving their money, sending their children away to school. Children were coming back educated with associate's degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to get a job into the private sector. And because of Bermuda's essentially racist situation, black children weren't getting jobs in the private sector. So what's the next avenue? Public sector.
Mm-hmm.
So over the course of years from 1970 to now, the public sector has been the de facto place for educated Bermudians to go if they can get into private sector.
Mm-hmm.
And we now have a public sector, the civil service plus quangos of give or take 5,000
mm-hmm.
persons.
And can you tell for benefit of our listening audience what quango means?
Okay,
Quasi-government.
Quasi-autonomous government
mm-hmm.
organization. In other words, like we have what we call the WEDCO, which is West End Development Corporation,
mm-hmm,
which
mm-hmm.
is a quango designed just to develop the West End into a tourist area or that. We have the BLDC, is Bermuda Land Development Corporation, which was put together to develop oil base lands that the U.S. base had left.
Mm-hmm.
Another example of a quango would be the Bermuda Monetary Authority, which is there for regulation of our financial sector.
Mainly what we call statutory authorities.
Statutory, yeah.
So, yes, the same thing. So these are staffed primarily by Bermudian. I would say 95% of Bermudian. 95% of the civil service is Bermudian, born and bred Bermudian. And is effectively, that's the mainstay of the black middle class in Bermuda. But yet you have folks who have the mindset that, oh, you need to trim the civil service by 10%. You need to trim it by X percent. The previous government came in on the mandate that they were going to trim. At first they told civil service, oh, no, we won't get rid of you. Well, we promise you your job is straight. Within the first year, they instituted what calls a furlough day, which means to say the cutting government staff's pay by 10%. One day out of a month, you're not getting paid. Oh, we're using this to help offset the debt. That was a 2-year deal. At the end of the 2 years, which was January 2015, that deal was supposed to be ended. They now sent a letter to government staff that, well, in order to further government savings, we will continue the furlough day. No, you're supposed to ask us. You're not going to tell us that you're going to continue the furlough day. So that caused a massive protest where the country was shut down for 3 days. Like, we don't play. Like, we was like, oh, you're taking our pay? Well, tell you what. We're taking 3 days. We're going to surround cabinet building. And until you come to your senses, we're not leaving. So for 3 days, we call it the furlough day protest. It was, for those that don't know, Bermuda gets cool during January. And it was cool. But it was a beautiful sight to see 3,000 to 5,000 people surrounding the cabinet building with umbrellas for when it rained. People were bringing food to feed everybody. That we're not playing. You're not going to take my pay because some people are getting paid like $50,000 a year, and you're taking 10% of that. I'm supposed to survive off of $45,000, but yet you who earn the private sector are increasing your services and your goods. Grocery bills didn't go down by 10%. Let me not digress. My point to Mr. Connor is that in Bermuda, the civil service has had a succession plan. In most cases, we've got it right that the majority of times, directors or heads of technical departments have always trained someone. We have a strong union, the Bermuda Public Services Union, that insists on constant training, constant employee
upskilling,
employee development. So when opportunities become, not if, when they become available, we have at least 2 people ready for that.
Well, in Cayman, there seems to be a big scare of unions, but unions play an important role. But I think there's a negative connotation to the words unions. The person who try to do it, try not to be in politics, and even if you're doing it privately, they don't seem to get enough traction. The business community is really put that scare tactic out there, and anybody who tries to establish it usually is eliminated quite quickly.
If you look at in the global context, right, it's always persons who have a right-wing mindset that are anti-union or union busting, or if you try that, you can find yourself unemployed. So you got a mortgage, you got kids in school, you ain't trying to not have money, like. So although your heart is with it, your pocket saying,
"No, I can't handle that."
No, I don't know if I could try that.
Okay, we have one caller. I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Let's take that caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning to your 2 guests there as well.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Mr. O.C.
Caller?
We lost the caller. We lost Oh, caller's having problem with his phone. I'm sorry. Used the wrong terminology there. Go ahead, Mr. Famous.
Yeah, so what I would say respectfully to the people of Cayman, I'm not saying go and get unionized or form a union. That's what I am saying is to ensure, whether it's via the government or if you take upon yourself to further develop yourself. So you give persons less excuse why you can't get this job.
Yes.
If you have to take time, you have a college here.
Yes, you have a university.
Right. If you have to take time
You actually
off,
have two. Sorry.
Or if you have to do an online course, get yourself qualified in whatever field you want to further yourself in, because the opportunities will come up. Whether it may not be in that department you're in now, but something's going to come up. And we as Caribbean people, we have to ensure that our people, when I say our, I don't care if you're light like Mr. McLaughlin, dark like myself or Mr. Connor, our people are getting the lion's share of what's going on in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Without apologies.
I think because I'm concerned about time, OC, I just want to know an opportunity for the Cayman listening public to hear what your administration's viewpoint is in respect to the decision on beneficial ownership and public registry. How is it affecting Bermudans and the government in your direction moving forward? It's been of a hot topic for us here in Cayman, and almost I don't think any day has passed yet without the topic coming up since it was announced. So how are things in Bermuda, and what is the position over there?
Well, I'm going to read a quote in a minute, but I'll give you the bigger picture. I use this terminology. If someone has the foot on my throat, I'm not going to shine the shoe. You understand?
Let me just say that again in Cayman accent so they can quite hear it. If somebody has a shoe on my throat, I'm not going to shine their shoe. Now,
foot on the throat.
So foot on their throat, I'm not going to shine their shoe. So you can expand and explain what that means.
Well, essentially, what's happening is that our economies have matured to evolve beyond just tourism, sun, sand, and sea. Well, now we have robust financial sectors. Although we compete with each other, let's be real, we compete with each other. But it has brought a level of success unseen before, that we're all able to raise our standard of living.
Yes.
We're able to afford a better house. We're able to send our children to school. We're able to afford to take care of our parents in their later stages. We're able to be comfortable. We're able to travel to sister islands. We don't have to go there and chop cane no more. Not to say chopping cane was wrong, but we have options.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
So, we have this level of like, okay, we're able to employ our people in government services. So now, led by the Labour government, I don't know why, but the Labour Party in the UK, they are saying, well, no. You got too much money. Basically, that's the sense. We need to monitor what's going on down there. Okay, well, let's monitor what's going on everywhere. Well, not quite. Not in Isle of Man, not in Guernsey, not in Channel Island, not in London. So you want us to do something that you aren't doing? That sounds like, what's an H word I have here? What's the word?
I don't want to assume and make the wrong one. But
Hypocrisy.
Hypocrisy, yes.
So our stance is...
I'm not allowed to say that in Parliament anymore.
Unparliamentary.
Unparliamentary, yeah.
Our stance as a government is that we're not opening up, and you can't force us to do anything. You're 3,000 miles away. You're trying to legislate in our parliament. You're trying to dictate to us. No. I know that there's constitutional differences, that your constitution may not have the same weight as ours. But the ethos is the same. London's even further away from
Cayman
than it is from Bermuda. And they're trying to legislate to you that you must do this, that you know, right? Everyone knows if that happens. There's a percentage of companies that are going to say, well, I tell you what, I'm going to Isle of Man. I'm going to City of London. I'm going to Channel Island.
Guernsey.
So what we have built up over the years is going to start dissipating. You're going to have less money for civil service, less money for seniors, less money for schools. Yesterday I listened to your Honorable Premier list off all the stuff that they're planning to do in the next 10 years. We're going to build more schools. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to double the population of Cayman Islands. Okay. How are you going to do that if your companies are leaving?
Yeah.
How are you going to do that if you have less
revenue,
less fees, not tax fees?
Okay. Well, we're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to try to see if we can rejoin that caller when we return. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
For more than 50 years, Paramount Carpet and Tile has been the name that homeowners and contractors have trusted for quality products and flooring expertise. With the latest carpet and tile products available on the market from Mohawk, Shore Carpets, Crossville, Florida Tile, and more, along with the best installation products and tools. To see the full product range with professional advice from the experts, visit our showroom today at 317 North Sound Road or call 949-5000.
We do a whole lot more than just cover your floor. Paramount Carpet.
Are you kidding me?
What's wrong?
I ran out of my meds and I have an interview in about an hour.
Why not call CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy? They'll be able to help.
You think so?
Absolutely. Their pharmacists are brilliant for fast, efficient and professional service.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. We strive to make your health our concern. We recognize the complexities of pharmaceuticals and the need to personalize your care. That is why we offer personalized one-on-one counseling. Call us today or visit our website at caymanpharmacy.com.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Can you explain what a less than container load is for shipment and what your minimum charge is?
Sure. A less than container load, or LCL, is any overseas shipment that does not require the full space of a container. At Seaboard, we have great rates for small packages. Just let us know the dimensions of your package and we'll help you out from there.
Shipping shore to shore.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orett Connor, continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. Do we have that caller back with us, Miss Susan? Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Kenneth, and your guest there from Bermuda. Conversation is very interesting, and obviously too limited to discuss all the subjects we'd like to discuss. Mr. O.C., you participated in Territories Talk.
Yes.
That, we've had on different occasions where we try to get the different colonies together on radio at the same time. The last one, I think you were with Montserrat, BVI. No, Montserrat didn't come on. It was Anguilla, BVI, and Turks and Caicos.
Turks and Caicos, yes.
And I'm wondering if you could explain some more to the gentleman that's there with you, how that worked for you, and it was a good show, and then also to have that show extended so it's broadcast simultaneously in all the various colonies, because the lack of exchange of information has been very efficiently, the lid is put on it to know what's discussed at these meetings that are held between the premiers of the different colonies. They never come back and really tell you the nitty-gritty of what's discussed. You get a one-paragraph statement of 3 days of talk. And I would also would like to ask your guest from Bermuda, why is it that they in Bermuda do not follow the UN Charter 73E, which was based on the which United Kingdom helped to draft, based on the concept of full internal self-government that was awarded to the white colonies, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, South Africa. And, of course, Bermuda, when you got your constitution in 1968, that was based on the same principles. And because they considered Bermuda would always be controlled by whites. And I am encouraging you, and this is a wonderful program to hear these views directly from somebody involved in governance in Bermuda.
Yes.
If we could extend that and explain to him, I know there isn't enough time for us to discuss it here. Mr. O.C., you have my number.
Yeah,
if possible to have a meeting afterwards while the gentleman's on the island would be good, because we should be discussing these issues openly rather than keeping them secret the way things are.
Certainly. What I'll do is I'll have Mr. Bryan provide your number and have you put you in contact with each other.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
I would like to find out from him, though, if he could just answer for it on air.
Okay.
Why don't they take part in the UN? We have 3 opportunities a year, the colonies, for individuals, organizations, political people, not just the government, to go to the United Nations to explain how that the fulfilling of UN Charter 73E has not occurred, and the British are holding back that. And it isn't just independence. Free association and full internal self-government are one of the options, but we don't fight for it.
Okay.
God bless you all.
Thank you very much, caller, for that, Mr. Famous.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, caller. That's a very multi-pronged and intriguing question. Our Constitution in 1968, for some, it was a watershed moment. And I will reiterate something that my Honorable Premier David Burt, JPMP, said. Our Constitution was not the final step. It was only a step towards full
self-governance, self-determination.
So I would say this because we are, use the word carefully, we are in process, transition, that's the word I want to use, that we do not intend to remain in the same position. Whilst there is a 73E UN Charter, which successive governments have not utilized as to the best extent, we are in transition, and these last few actions have galvanized the people. Because remember, in any revolution or evolution, it can't just be there's people at the apex saying, okay, this is the way we're going to go. You have to motivate your people. You have to educate your people as to
inspire them to.
This is what we got now. This is where we need to be, and this is how we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
This is the vehicle. Remember, politics. For some people, politics is the be-all to end-all. For me, politics is just a vehicle to get us from where we are now to where we need to be. So I'm gonna read back to the question about the beneficial ownership. I'm gonna read something from the Royal Gazette, which is the only newspaper in Bermuda, and it's not a friend of the
Started the Bermuda
government.
Sun at one time too. Right?
Yes, I used to write for them, but they closed down. David Brett reiterated Bermuda's position about a public register of beneficial ownership during a phone conversation with British Prime Minister Theresa May. The Premier joined other leaders from the overseas territories for a 35-minute conversation with the UK leader last Thursday. He said, during the call, I restated the government of Bermuda's position. This country, Bermuda, does not recognize the right of the United Kingdom Parliament to legislate on matters which are internal affairs reserved to Bermuda under its constitution. I reiterated our position that Bermuda will implement a public register of beneficial ownership when it is a global standard. In other words, when everybody else is doing it, then we will do it. Not before. Britain's sanctions and anti-laundering bill, which aims to force British overseas territories to set up a public register of beneficial ownership has won approval from both the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Mr. Brett has argued it shows wanton, not wanton, wanton disregard for Bermuda's constitution and has vowed that Bermuda will not make its register public until the House of Assembly votes to do so.
So let me ask you something, because I thank you for that, and I think people basically say, listen, we ain't doing it.
Mm-hmm.
What happens what is your strategy when that 2-year mark comes? Because I'm thank you for explaining what's happening over there, but the purpose of why I invited you is that so my people see different strategies other than the one that they're hearing from their current leader, because we want to see all options. So what happens when that 2-year mark comes and they actually go and say...
I think I started off the answer with that answer.
So the answer is, and sorry for being blunt here, as you're saying, independence.
Well, I'm going to be blunter.
Mm-hmm.
If your foot is on my throat, I'm not going to shine your shoe. I'm going to cut your foot.
All right. I think that's pretty straightforward.
Is that too blunt? Is that unpopular?
No. I'd like to hear it that way.
I think the key word is called survival.
Yes.
Do you guys...
Speak into the mic. Sorry about that.
No, the point I'm saying is that it's survival. Bob Marley's greatest album, in my opinion, was Survival. It had a picture of all the African independent countries' flags on there. And it had in the middle of it, had a picture of the slave ship. So if you listen to Survival, I forgot how many songs are on there. One of the songs is, they don't want to see us come together.
Yep.
They don't want to see us unite. You understand? So maybe I condense things too simplistically. For our people, take a day, take an hour, listen to Bob Marley's album, Survival.
Okay.
This is the position we are in. We might glory in that, we got nice cars, our exchange rate is such and such. That can change overnight. The price of oil fluctuates overnight. So can our economies.
Right. Yep. Let's take one more caller before we end the show. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Woolsey. Good morning to Emily and Mr. Bryan. Good morning to the erstwhile Emily from Bermuda there.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Morning. I just like to ask you a couple of just quick questions. You have an income tax system there. I think it's payroll tax only. Is that correct?
It's called payroll tax. Yes.
Yeah, and everybody pays it. Is that at the same rate for everyone, or is it a rated thing? It depends on your income.
It was. We recently did it in bands where if you're making under a certain amount, your payroll tax will be less than someone. Let's say if you're making $55,000 and under, your payroll tax will be less than the guy who's making $100,000.
Yes. And the other thing is this, and everyone has to pay that, right?
Yes.
The other thing is this. So you have a national insurance plan, health plan.
So we call it social insurance, yes.
Yes, social insurance. So health insurance here, in other words, if you want to buy health insurance, it's voluntary.
Well,
you have to pay the tax in your income tax. I mean, but if a person wants health insurance from then it's voluntary. It's not mandatory.
No. You have to. Okay, let me be clear. The social insurance is essentially pension. The health insurance, you either have if any employed person, by law, they have to be insured. So you either have a private insurance, or you have what we call HIP, which is like a subsidized insurance,
similar to what we have here.
So you don't get as much benefits. And then for seniors, we have what we call, anyone 65 and over, we have what's called Future Care, where they are able to pay out of their pension, pay $500. It's heavily subsidized by the government, and they are insured. So like private insurance is, depending on how many dependents you have, you will be paying up to $1,500 per month for private insurance.
Okay, caller, you still there? So your point?
No, I just wanted to find out if in other words, health insurance there is mandatory also, but you have the sort of government plan where you would be paying that in your income tax.
No,
that's what I'm trying to get at.
It's subsidized via income tax, but the as I said, if you, let's say for example, I'm 65 and under, I could pay private insurance or I could pay HIP. HIP has less benefits, but you have to be by law. You cannot be employed and uninsured.
And the mere fact that you are paying a payroll tax doesn't mean that you get free health insurance.
Like if you went to the hospital, not like America, like, oh, your arm's cut off, let me see that insurance card. No, it's not like that. They're gonna take care of you, but if you're not insured, you can be hit with a bill.
Yeah.
But if you let's say you were working for somebody, you got hurt on the job, and you went to the hospital and they took care of you, and then they look and see your employer hasn't been paying your health insurance, they could now sue the employer.
Well, that's exactly what we have here, basically.
Caller?
I have a portion where the employee pays and the employer pays, like what we have here. So yeah. I was just trying to find out if you had a national sort of health insurance scheme there where it's, more or less free, something like Canada, what Canada has, and the whole of Europe, nearly all of Europe has it, and England. So you pay it in your income tax, and if you want private insurance, you can go and do it, but the choice is yours, it's voluntary. But the law we have here doesn't stipulate whether you're employed or not. You have to have insurance, whether you're employed. Doesn't say that.
Yeah, they don't have not like in London or England, they have NHS, National Health Insurance. Yeah. No, it's not at that level.
Yes, I understand. Just wanted to get that straight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller.
Very much, caller, for that. We're running over time, but want to give both of you an opportunity for some closing comments.
Yeah, I'd like to offer that that first option for my good friend here. So, yes.
Well, I would start off as I started off. From the minute I landed, or we landed, we've been overwhelmed with kindness from the people of Cayman Islands. Today has been just a greater kindness. And what I would say to my people, our people in the Cayman Islands is, let's not, one gentleman made a suggestion that I spoke about yesterday. Let's not just wait until we have these annual meetings, CPA, CARICOM, OECD, whatever configurations. You got my WhatsApp? I got yours. Let's talk. This is how things are done.
Yeah.
Powerful people talk every day to get their agenda done. We, as the representatives of the people of our islands, must continue to communicate in one way, shape, or form, or multiple ways, to get things done. It may be high-end things such as beneficial ownership, or it may be low-end things like, I've got a problem with Miss Smith, or this is what I did for Miss Jones in Bermuda. Maybe you want to try that.
Yeah. Trust me, I envision that already, hence the reason I'm hoping that our bond becomes stronger, because as you know, I'm a first-time member of our Legislative Assembly, member of Parliament, same thing. And I need examples to look at and voices that sometimes may not be conflicted, to ask them that are not biased, because obviously I have those biases here. But I want to say thank you for coming on the show with me. I can promise you this, your name is going to be synonymous around here, and so I appreciate that. OC, I want to say also thank you to you and Radio Cayman and your staff. I do appreciate it. But in my closing remarks, I want to congratulate the John Gray graduates. I was at the graduation last night, and I must say that I was so pleased with the results, the graduates, and the visuals I saw of our young Caymanian kids. I feel a little bit more positive. I feel that though we are having a lot of our difficulties and we're going to work the minds together, other countries, those who has the wisdom and the experience like yourself. We're going to figure this out. If we trust the Lord, we work hard and keep committed, we're going to figure these problems out together. Sometimes it might be harder other days, but we're going to do it together. Remember these kids that are coming out of school. Proud of each and every one of you. Keep it up. University is the next step. Do your thing. Parents, congratulations for all the hard work. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you all as well. And I want to leave my listening and viewing audience with these comments again from one of Mr. Famous's articles. We Must Look to the Caribbean, written in April of this year. And he points out various things, and then he gives us a list of, he says, most of all, we are joined by this thing we call blood, as we are all related, no matter in which island we reside. Not surprisingly, most MPs who sit in Parliament in Bermuda are of direct Caribbean heritage, and he lists prime examples. David Burt, who's the Premier, Jamaican descent. Walter Robban, Deputy Premier, St. Vincent. Jeannie Atherton, the Leader of the Opposition, the Bahamas. Patricia Gordon Pamplin, Trinidad. She was a former leader of the opposition at one point in time too. Was she a minister and a minister as well under the One Alliance government? Craig Cannoner, St. Kitts. Lawrence Scott, Jamaica. Neville Terrell, Nevis. Rolf Comesong, Trinidad. Michael Scott, St. Kitts. We must continue to remind the Bermudan people that despite our geographical location in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, we are truly Caribbean by nature. Interestingly, our region now dominates athletics and triathlon events globally as well. And I must say, you have a great triathlete in Miss Flora Duff as well.
Duffy.
Yes. So, gentlemen, thank you all very much. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dreeny Mikes at 12 noon for a talk today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands. And I will include today, as a tribute to our guests, the island of Bermuda as well.
For the Record is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking and pension needs, call or visit a Fidelity branch today. Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealerships serving the Cayman Islands. And Cayman Pharmacy Group, with locations in West Base and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. And Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling Seaboard Marine at 949-4977.